Twilly-dilly-dee, 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 tweet, 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 tweet.
She talks to the people all night long, chatting and a-gabbing and a-singing her song. All the divas down on Rainbow Street love to hear Toni go tweet, tweet, tweet. Talking Toni.
Tweet, tweet,
Talk, talking Toni.
tweet, twilly-dee,
Oh, talking Toni really gonna talk tonight.
tweet, twilly-dee.
Hello, St. Olaf. It's me, Rose Nyland, your correspondent, coming to you straight from my bedroom in Miami. And joining me out on the lanai is my very dear friend, school teacher, well, substitute school teacher, and sometimes slumlord, Dorothy Zbornak. Dorothy, how are you today?
Go to hell, Rose.
Dorothy, can I just ask you, that first time, did you have...
How could I? I mean, it always seemed to happen before I was in the room.
Well, for everybody who may be just tuning in, I'm not really Rose Nyland, and this isn't really Dorothy Zbornak.
No, this is really B. Arthur.
It's really B. Arthur.
I've arisen.
Be animated. I'm Toni Holmperm, the singing diva of Long Island. This is Talking Toni, my little show here on Strong Island Radio, where I get to talk to many, many, many of the fabulous people that I know. And joining me today is none other than Catt, the queen bee of cosplay. Tom, how are you?
Hey. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. You are more than kind to have me on.
Oh, I have been a big fan of yours for a very, very, very long time. So I thank you for joining me. So
why the hell did it take you so long to reach out to me to have me on the damn show, Toni?
I'm a blonde. I'm from St. Olaf.
I asked for that. I
I'm
definitely.
a St. Olafian. Good question. Yes, I definitely should have had you on way sooner. But you're here now. That's all.
I'm here now. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And I see you're giving us a mod, long vest look.
I need to show off. I need to show off. My boobs are huge. My waist is tiny, and I have pants.
And then there's mod. There's
pants. There is pants on here.
Is that mad? I know, it's fabulous. It's fabulous.
And I did it strictly for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Strictly for you, Toni.
I do appreciate it. And like I said, I am just so happy to have you here on the show.
I'm happy to be here. I really am. I feel official. I feel like a real drag queen.
Yes, well, you are in my book. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the only book that counts.
You're right. That is the only book that counts.
You also got the seal of approval from my very good friend Alexis Flame. So there's,
Oh, I adore Alexis Flame. She has a look for me. I'm very excited to go and snatch it from her.
I know.
I'm going to look gorgeous in it. Much better than her. Don't tell her I said that.
I won't tell her. I value my life too much.
No, I adore her. She actually reached out to me after you advertised and after we did the Don't Rush challenge.
Mm-hmm.
When you asked her to do that, I was like, well, shit, that works out perfectly. Oh, can we
I know.
Curse?
We're on the internet. It's fine.
I worry because there are some people who are just like, oh, well, you're not really supposed to say that. You're not supposed
it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Unfortunately, it's my curse. I swear like a truck driver. I do. I really do. No, you had reached out to me to do the Don't Rush challenge, which I've always been fascinated by. And I was like, well, I have a gig coming up on Sunday, which was fabulous. Oh, it was so delicious. I love dressing up as Ursula, but we'll get into the cosplay section first. Right now, I just want to know.
Absolutely. Well, let me pose the question to you for those viewing and listening who don't know. What exactly is cosplay?
Okay, so cosplay is costume play. Very, very similar to drag. And the more I do cosplay and the more I do drag, the more the waves just intersect and the more they crash on the shore. I've been cosplaying for too long. And I started doing drag actually my first Comic-Con. I was Ursula the Sea Witch and Cruella and Dr. Frankenfurter, which is an amuse-bouche of drag royalty.
Yes.
But that was in 2011. So I'm coming up on almost 10 years. 10 years of doing this.
Wow, that's pretty good. I've only been doing it. I think I'm in my third year, going on my fourth now.
Anybody that's been doing drag for as long as we have, we have earned those titles. We have earned the winky pins that we give ourselves.
Absolutely. So, as you said, cosplay and drag, there are some like common themes.
Very common themes. Very, very common things. When you go to these conventions and when you go to these events, it's very, very similar to going to a drag venue. And, it's one of those things that's really sort of making me comfortable going to drag venues. But one of the things that I always enjoyed was just getting into costume, imbuing the character, becoming the character, playing with the people that you walk around the conventions with, meeting people who have cosplayed or dressing up as, say for instance, I'm Ursula, seeing people dressed up as Prince Eric and Ariel, and just enjoying playing with them and having people saying, "Oh, you look great! You guys look great! Did you coordinate this?" And it's really just one of those fabulous things. I'm very thankful for the cosplay community. It's definitely helped me become a better me. If there can be such a thing.
Yes, I remember one of the first time. I think it was actually like the second time I did drag. I did the Invasion of the Pines on Fire Island.
Oh, the Invasion! I've been told by so many people, you gotta go, you gotta experience it.
Yes, and I had Ricky Lake's roach gown, like an exact replica made.
Fantastic.
And that I was about 100 pounds heavier then, so I was more.
Yes, congratulations on the weight loss, Tony. You look superb.
Thank you. I know. I just need to wire my jaw shut now with this quarantining. It's like I keep making trips to the refrigerator. But when I was dressed up as Ricky Lake from Hairspray, that was, now that I think about it, it was kind of a cosplay, drag kind of thing. And that happened to me where people were coming up to me and were like, Ricky Turnblad, you're just a hair hopper. And, you wanted to
Isn't
play
that fabulous?
Oh,
I think that's so wonderful.
That's what it would be.
Me and LaBelle have a lot of interesting conversations because LaBelle is very scared of doing cosplay, and I am very scared of doing drag because they both require an extensive amount of creativity. They both require an extensive amount of time and preparation. But when it comes to drag, it's a character that you've created. When it comes to cosplay, it's a character that's already created. You're just designing it around what you would consider the character to be. Like Maud, for instance. Maud, I don't think has ever worn an aqua robe or an aqua vest with aqua pants.
But she should have.
She should have. Oh, absolutely, she should have. But it's just one of those fabulous things where you have those two schools of training, and it's really quite fabulous. It's really fabulous.
Yes, and have to ask, because your take on your style of cosplay, where you've incorporated B. Arthur into so many things. You did a bee pool,
I did B pool. That
you
was
did
the
Sailor B.
As a matter of fact, Ryan Reynolds liked my B pool.
How could he not?
He did. He liked it. I was gagged. I was so gagged when I saw that he liked it. Okay. So this
I know
was
there's a story there.
there's always a story here. It was around, I want to say 2014, 2015. For the longest time, a lot of people have considered me B. Arthur, just based on how I talk, just based on like my mannerisms, and just based on how I present myself.
Mhm.
As you can plainly tell, it's pretty accurate.
Oh my God!
So I was looking up B. Arthur in comics because I'm like, what's the harm? I think it'll be hysterical. And then I found out that Deadpool has an absolute obsession with B. Arthur. I think that B. Arthur is one of the great loves of Deadpool's life. And you laugh, but I was looking. In the video game, I believe one of the rockets that he uses was named B. Arthur. In the comics, he's hallucinated seeing B, calling her, "Oh my God, the love of my life, the great Beatrice Arthur." And I'm like, huh, what can we do with this? What can we do with this information? So I bought myself a cheapo spandex Zentai suit. I had been pretty okay at doing my makeup for the first couple of years that I had done cosplay, and I've since graduated, as you can plainly see.
Of course.
But yeah, I got into the cosplay, and I made up a little sign because I didn't know that a lot of people knew who B. Arthur was. So I made a sign that had a picture of B. Arthur kissing Deadpool in a very iconic Spider-Man pose, where Spider-Man's upside down and Mary Jane's
right.
So I made up a sign that says B. Arthur loves DP. And it went over so well. People were like, "Oh my God, this is brilliant. Like, how did you come up with this?" And I'm like, just read the comics.
Yeah. That's right. Right.
You got to pay attention to the source material. And then one of my darling friends created. He became a good friend of mine. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Alexis about this earlier. My friend Uki the Frog, and you can look him up. It's literally Uki the Frog. I think that's what his handle is, or Abraham Perez if you want to give him a shout out and give him a look-see. He created this fabulous series of the Golden Girls as Sailor Scouts.
Oh.
And when I first saw the artwork, I'm like, that's it. I have to do that. I have to do that. And my grandmother's boyfriend at the time did a lot of curtains. So he had all of these like really, really, really interesting fabrics. And he gave my mother this atrocious olive green taffeta.
Oh.
And I was looking at it and I'm going, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. So I made the costume. The earrings, the heart, the everything. And it is one of my, in terms of B. Arthur, it's one of my favorite B looks. Because it's so hysterical. People recognize it immediately. People appreciate the amount of work and effort that I put into my craft. And then they hear me talk and it's just like, oh wow. Oh, wow.
But now, wait, what about when they heard you sing the Man in the Moon song as Sailor B?
Okay. So the first time I wore, go ahead. I want to let you finish.
No. I'm just saying, I love that. Please continue.
Oh, it was fabulous. So the first time I wore it, I was like, okay, not bad, not the best. I think we can do better. And then I, got a new wig. I just manifested all of these things. And one of the things that like really struck me was, what if I was cosplaying as Sailor Dorothy and sang The Man in the Moon as a lady? Would people get it? Would people understand? Now I know that my theater people would just in 2 seconds get it. But introducing B as Sailor Dorothy and introducing them to Vera Charles and introducing them to that thing, a lot of people were very taken aback. because and taking it back in a good way, not like, oh my God, I'm offended by this. No. They loved and appreciated it and were just so surprised. Just based on my characterization, based on my voice, based on how I delivered the piece. And I finally had the opportunity to sing The Man in the Moon is a Lady, which you had shared. Thank you very much for sharing that on your page. This year at C2E2 was The Masquerade. And I entered myself into it. I recorded myself singing. I bought the karaoke version of it. I have the entire song. Like I'm really building up my drag audio here. So I sang the entire song. And you're only allowed, because it's a masquerade, you're only allowed a minute and a half if you're one person. You're allowed, I think, 2 and change if you're a group. So I recorded myself, I did the thing, and I had an absolute blast. The one thing, though, that really concerned me was that they started playing my song as I was walking up the stairs. So when you first watch the video and it's like, you see me like stumbling a little bit, it's because they started me too early. Okay, I'll get to the middle of the stage. I'll be able to work the audience a little. Nope, just right into it. And people were they loved it. They ate it up. A lot of my friends who know that I impersonate the Arthur, they were just like, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you didn't do this sooner. And I'm like, I know.
It was terrific. And you have a beautiful voice. You really do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Do.
Keep going. I
didn't know that you sang. And when I first saw that and I heard you singing, I was just like, I was like, oh, it's beautiful. Just beautiful.
You want to laugh when I was introduced to the Golden Girls when I was in my teens. Never in a million years did I ever think that they would have such an impact and such an influence on my life. And of course, when I heard B. Arthur sing in Journey to the Center of Attention, when she sang What'll I Do, I was like, I know. So every so often, like I'll like sing to myself, and I would, do what'll I do, and just I would sing to myself, and then I started singing to other people, and then they were just like, wow, you have a great singing voice, but you also sound exactly like her. And I'm like, I know, I never tire of hearing it. I really don't. Like when Alexis was like, oh my God, you are B. Arthur, you sound exactly like her, you have the mannerisms down. I'm just like, thanks so much. So you were introduced to the Golden Girls, you said, in your teens. Yes.
I experienced it when it was originally
when it was on the air.
It was new. Yes. So I do have that. So but it has just been one of my all-time favorite shows.
And I love at one point I was really worried, because I know how some fandoms can get. So I was very worried when the Golden Girls had their second coming and got their second wind, with the cereals and the Funko Pops and the being brought back into vogue with the articles from BuzzFeed and all that other fun stuff. I was very nervous because I'm like, okay, I know how some fandoms can get. And I'm just very nervous that that's what's going to happen to the Golden Girls, where you're going to have elitists who say, oh, well, it should be this way, and it should be that way, and it should be this way, and it should be that way. And sometimes you want to hold on to things for you. You want to be just a little selfish with your fandom. You just a tad. Where it's like, oh, I've been to the Golden Girls for a while, and when people are just like, well, what's the Golden Girls? Who are the Golden Girls? And then, like, what?
Blasphemy!
Exactly, blasphemy. But 4 years ago, there was a boom. There was this humongous boom where people were like, oh, Golden Girls this and Golden Girls that, and then all the marketing and all the merchandising, and I'm just like, yay, my wallet is going to hate me. But yeah, so I've been enjoying the amount of love that the girls have been getting. I love the Golden Gays. I love the Golden Gays of NYC. I love Golden Girls Live with Peter Mack and God, so many. I can't remember Peter's husband's name. I think it's not Jason. Jason is the B from Golden Gays of NYC. Oh God, his name. That's gonna bug me. Regardless, but I adore. I mean, even in California, with Heclina as B. Arthur and Jackie B as B. Arthur, like the girls have been. I can't think of any of the other girls off the top of my head. I know Sherry Vine has been Rose or Blanche. Alaska's been Blanche, if I'm not mistaken. And it's so nice to see. And I mean, even when the Golden Girls had a puppet show, for Christ's sake, it still sold out all over the place.
Right.
And it's really one of those things where, like, it touched me. It touched me that people still appreciated, still enjoyed, still loved the Golden Girls. I love that the Golden Girls are getting as much love as they are these days.
And the show really was groundbreaking.
Oh, very groundbreaking.
With a lot of things that they went into, as far as menopause and gay rights, gay marriage, and things like that. That were they were able to be controversial, I think, because they had these four lovable older women that were presenting it to you, and it wasn't like somebody coming at you with a hammer or I don't know. It wasn't
like the Roseanne Barr show.
Exactly. Exactly.
It wasn't aggressively in your face. How I like to describe it is the Golden Girls is like watching a cartoon. And when I say it's like a cartoon, and one of my friends put it perfectly to me, it's the four ladies, all of their personalities, just getting into hijinks and expressing their age, their sexuality, their behaviors. It didn't matter what the plots were. It didn't matter what the why can't I think of the word right now? I'm blanking so hard on this word. But the continuity errors. It didn't matter because you were still watching these four hysterical older women just being friends and having a ball.
Yes. And sitting around talking about sex and
cheesecake, and everything in between.
What could be better than that?
Honestly, nothing. Well, that's why we have shows like The View. That's why we have shows like Sex and the City and The Real, and just all of these sort of television shows where there's a group of women just sitting around and talking. And I genuinely feel that the Golden Girls were definitely a jumping off point for many of the reality TV shows and sitcoms that we have today. And then there's Maude.
And then there's
that uncompromising, enterprising, anything but tranquilizing right on Maude.
Yes, and Maude, B. Arthur, she was in Maude before Golden Girls.
The titular character.
I don't think Maude gets as much love as the Golden Girls.
Which I'm trying to change. As you can no doubt see from the getup.
Yeah, Maude was especially controversial too.
Okay. I have a lot of feelings about Maude. I really do.
Express them. That's what I'm here for.
So I was introduced to Maude in my 20s. Because I was watching, the Golden Girls, and I'm like, the Golden Girls, I love B. Arthur. Let's see what else B. Arthur has done. And then, of course, the floodgates were opened. I found out that she was an inspiration for Ursula. I found out that she was initially going to be the voice of Ursula. I found out just all of these fabulous things about her, personality-wise. Just her interviews, Just Between Friends, was big when I was in my 20s as well. And Just Between Friends, to those unaware, was B. Arthur's one-woman show, which she had done closer to the end of her life, where she basically was autobiographical in the show, very much to compete with Elaine Stritch, but that's a subject for later.
Okay.
We'll get to Elaine Stritch in just a moment, because she was initially supposed to be B. Arthur. She auditioned for B. I don't know if you were familiar with that.
For Dorothy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Elaine Stritch was initially going to be cast as a Dorothy, but during the read-throughs, there was just, it wasn't good. But then, B happened, and here we are.
And McClanahan was originally supposed to be Rose, right?
Blanche, yes. Rue McClanahan was going to be Rose, and Rue was going to be Rose, and Betty was going to be
Blanche.
Betty was going to be Blanche.
Yeah.
And B wasn't on board at first. Because B, if I'm not mistaken, according to Rue, said, Rue, I am not going to see Vivian and Maud share a television with Sue Ann Nivens. And then the switch happened, and then B was on board for it. Because we'll get to Maud in just a moment, because I love the potpourri that we can discuss when it comes to the girls. B was very interested only because her agent had called her saying there's a new sitcom and they're looking for a B. Arthur type. And the agent was congratulating her, saying, congratulations, I hear you booked this sitcom. And B was like, the fuck are you talking about? Who? What? Where? And then, she had discussed it with Rue, and Rue and her were very close. Rue and B were very, very good friends. The B and Betty thing we'll talk about. But yeah, Rue and B were very close. And it wasn't until Rue said they decided to switch me and Betty for, Blanche and Rose. And then she was like, oh, that's interesting. So then the magic started. But yes, Maud. Got into Maud in my 20s. It was very hard for me to watch the first like couple of episodes, because they're very hard hitting.
Yes.
Like Norman Lear did not pull punches with the topics that he was addressing. I mean, he was talking about abortion for the first time. He was talking about alcoholism. He was talking about
homosexuality.
Say that again.
Homosexuality.
Exactly, discussing all of these fabulous, fabulous topics. Yes, the gay bar, of course.
The gay bar.
Just discussing all of these very, very hard-hitting topics. And there was just a point where I'm like, I need to be in the right mood to watch Maud. And there are even some episodes today where I'm just like, I can't watch that because it makes me sad.
Yeah.
The episodes in question I'm talking about is when Walter, Maud's husband, played by the fabulous Bill Macy, gets so drunk that he hits Maud. And it's just one of those things where I can't physically watch that because I've been around abuse. I've been around that type of personality, and it's just like not for a little girl. But I mean, even so, I bought the complete series and I just binge watched it. And there was even a point in time when I was with my ex and we were watching it, and he just glares at me and he says, "You are Maud. You are 100." The looks, the glares, the voice. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've practiced.
Well, keep that in mind, because we're just going to take a.
Oh yes, we're going to take a break. Go ahead. Yes, take a break.
For our sponsors. Not that
we have a sponsor. We're sponsored.
We like to think we do. So keep Maud in mind, and everyone stay tuned, because we will be right back after these messages with more Talking Toni with Tom Catt, the queen bee of cosplay. Hello, everyone. It's me, Toni Holmperm, the singing diva of Long Island, here on my little show, Talking Toni. And joining me today, my now, I don't, you are now one of my very good friends. I don't care. We have never actually met physically, but I love you so much. Catt, the queen bee of cosplay. For those who don't know, Tom, you've carved out this niche in cosplay of doing B. Arthur / Dorothy's Bornak / Maud in your cosplay, and I have just because I love the Golden Girls and B. Arthur. I love all of that so much. So I just love what you do. It's so creative, and you do it so good. You do it so good. I think, I think like anyone who's a fan of like the Golden Girls or B. Arthur,
they eat it up. They eat it all the way up.
They do. They just love it. And I was telling you before, my very good friend Alexis Flame, when I turned her on to you, and she was like, "Oh my God, she is being she is."
No, it's very true, and you know there are a lot of things that sort of like. So, when I started doing B. Arthur drag, again, I was very hesitant because one, I didn't know if a lot of people would understand or know who B. Arthur was.
Right.
And you know, I go to a lot of conventions, so I meet 1,000,001 people a day. And it's just one of those things where you have to like take into consideration because before B, I had cosplayed as Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Ursula, Cruella. Who else have I cosplayed as? Endora from Bewitched. That was a stretch that I am very shocked that people knew who Endora was.
Oh, sure.
And it was just one of those fabulous happenstances where I've like cosplayed as all of these characters, and I'm like, well, why not? Why not cosplay as B. Arthur? And why the hell not? And then I started doing it, and people just like really gravitated towards it. Especially, and I mean, I do have a handicap. I of course have a handicap. I've studied her so much because I literally the Golden Girls were my anti-drug for a while. I had a very difficult coming out. I had a very difficult time coming out. And the Golden Girls were there for me. So I would always watch the Golden Girls. I would always listen to B. Arthur. I would always just sort of take on her manner. I stole her soul, really.
Thank heavens, because we all need a little B in our lives.
Exactly. My girlfriend, she turns to me one day and she goes, "You like captured her soul somehow. Like you are B. Arthur reincarnated because you just have everything." And I'm like, "Oh, go on. Just
let me ask you quick though, because you said when we first started doing cosplay, you were doing like Poison Ivy and Catwoman, and I think I remember watching one of your videos where you're saying how like, you know, when you do something like that, it's kind of like, you know, or like a character like Harley Quinn. Expect that, like, you know, everybody's already done Harley Quinn, and when you go to the convention, you're probably going to see a bunch of other Harley Quinns.
But no one's ever done it like me.
And that, of course. But when you know, put a spin on it and you do like, you know, B Pool or, you know, Sailor B, I mean, it makes everyone like notice. They just stand up and notice. It's like, oh my God, what is this character? So,
I mean, I like I say, I do have a bit of a handicap. I'm incredibly tall. I'm 6'4.5" in my stocking feet. So I command a very large presence. When I'm in a room, people know I'm there because I take up so much space, you know.
Right.
And especially like now that I've been doing drag more and more, my boobs enter the room before I do.
Tell me about it.
And I mean, my boobs and my legs and my behind. That's what everyone loves so much about me.
Why not? It's working for me.
You've made it an art form, Ro.
Don't knock it. Don't knock it till you try.
But you're see, I'm always terrified about buying the boobs for queens because I don't like to show a lot of cleavage. I like to show a lot of chest. I like to show a lot of legs. But in terms of breasts and whatnot, I usually just use my my silicone falsies. My silicone falsies have served me very well in the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. Oh, I still have those too. Still have the girls. They're in a draw, but they get pulled out.
I call them my backup dancers, Flotsam and Jetsam. But yeah. So where were we before the break? Right.
On.
So we're going to talk about cosplay. When I do the sort of characters that people are so familiar with, like Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, you expect sexy, you expect confident, you expect cleavage, when I do it, I'm a bear. I own my bearhood. I go with the hairy chest. I go with the hairy underarms. For Harley Quinn and Catwoman, I do like a smoky eye or I do a black lip. With Poison Ivy, the next time I decide to do Poison Ivy, I'll do something green or do something with makeup just to, make it my own.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I always do when it comes to cosplay. I make the character my own.
Yes.
With Ursula, I made myself a spandex dress, and then I just rhinestoned it to hell. With the Evil Queen, I tried to make it as accurate as possible. And again, keep it sexy, keep it confident, keep the cape incredibly dramatic. When I did the Wicked Witch of the West, I didn't do Margaret Hamilton's Wicked Witch of the West. I did Gail Sondergaard's. For those unaware, Margaret Hamilton was not the first pick for the Wicked Witch of the West. Some of the directors or one of the producers wanted a sexy, seductive, voluptuous, sultry Wicked Witch of the West, like the Queen. And they had hired Gail Sondergaard. They made her gorgeous, tight, black form-fitting dress, long sequin cape, sequin hat, broom with the bugle beads on it, and just really, really, really decked out in a gorgeous ensemble. And that was what I had done for the Wicked Witch of the West. But I take these characters and I sort of make them my own.
Yes,
and I try to do that. I try to do that with all of my looks, with the exception of B. Arthur, because I want to be as. And that's the other thing with cosplay. I want to be as accurate as is humanly possible. As a matter of fact, when I was doing this look, I had a giant picture of Maud staring at me in the face, and I'm like, "Yep, that's where we're going today."
Job well done, brava.
Thank you.
I almost feel like I'm getting to interview B. Arthur herself. So B, tell us, why did you really hate Betty White?
Love Rue. I say that actually that was a direct quote from Clanahan, or to somebody who had asked. That was literally B's words verbatim, because Rue had said that during B. Arthur's eulogy. That was literally the words. I love Rue. Betty's a see you next Tuesday. So the way I've seen it play out, the way that I've studied and researched and done the whole thing, B and Betty are two very, very different people. A lot of people know B as this strong, imposing, in-your-face, aggressive, militant feminist, based on Maud and Dorothy. But she's really a pussycat. Is literally a pussycat. She's very shy. Again, swears like a truck driver, but is incredibly sensitive. Was incredibly sensitive. She's literally like fine china. You blow on her and she falls and shatters everywhere. And when you have Betty White, who's just very very bubbly and very effervescent, and like she'll play with the audience and she'll try to like have fun with the audience. It really started to be, in my opinion, this is not something that I did not write a book on this.
That's right.
Based on what I've seen of the relationship between Bea and Betty, they came from very different backgrounds in acting. They came from very different backgrounds in terms of personality. Because again, Bea is very reserved, very to herself. She's the type of person that would much rather stay at home and read the paper. She's not somebody who goes out constantly. She's not somebody that would have been much of a party. Like she'll go to events that she is at. Like when she was at the Toni's, and when she was doing shows with PBS, or doing shows, during her mod days. Her personality with Betty, there's going to be a lot of tension and a lot of friction. That's what I sort of discovered, because that's the Bea Arthur that I know. I know her through Maud, I know her through Harvey, but I've also watched a lot of interviews with people that were close to Bea, including her son, who's become very vocal, as a matter of fact, with the California Association. To those unawares, Bea Arthur, in her will, left, I think, $300,000 to the California. California company, and they were able to build a house for LGBTQ youth that are homeless. And just really one of those, like if I was ever to donate to a charity, it would be the California Center, just based off of what they've done for LGBTQ. And of course, the majestic Bea Arthur giving all that she did.
Yes.
But yeah, that's how I feel Bea and Betty's relationship was. It was very professional. It was very professional. They had a very professional working relationship. So as soon as the cameras stopped rolling, and they would go out for lunch. They would all go out for lunch. Bea would make absolutely certain that all of the girls went out for lunch or went out for dinner or whatever. But as soon as she went home, she was home. She was home and she didn't associate with anybody. Of course, she had a lifetime spent with Flanagan. I love scrolling through Tumblr and seeing the story of Rue Bea during Thanksgiving. The was Vivian's mother had recently passed, and Bea made it an absolute point to have Rue come to her house for Thanksgiving dinner. And Bea tucked her in and took care of her and made sure that she was okay. And it was one of those things that really sort of touched me personally.
Right.
Because that's how I try to be with a lot of my friends. I will always try to be there for them. I will always try to understand them, take them in, make sure that they feel safe and secure. And that's one of the reasons why I get called Mom all the time. Despite the fact that when I started cosplaying, I made it a point to say, just call me. Just call me.
And then getting back to cosplay, I remember quite a few years ago, there was a show on Sci-Fi Channel about Yaya Han, and it seemed to me like there could be a lot of competition in cosplay. Have you
competition in cosplay?
Yeah, competition.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. You're only giving me 15 minutes to talk about competing in cosplay. That's not a lot of time. So I started professionally competing last year. And it's cutthroat because everyone is just so disgustingly talented. I mean, I was very fortunate because I got into three different Reed Pop shows with a look that, I mean, one of the things that you have to be able to do in cosplay is make your own looks, which has definitely helped. Especially considering that I want to start doing drag more and more frequently. So I want to create more and more like the vests and the blouses and the pants. Just bring Maud to various drag venues. And when it comes to competing in cosplay, I don't want to say it's dog eat dog, but it's very much aggressive, because you want to make sure that you're showing new techniques. You want to make sure that you're showing the judges a wonderfully well put together costume. Like you're not going to be able to compete with something that's store bought. You would not be able to compete with something like half-assed. Like this outfit right here, I wouldn't compete with it. But my Evil Queen, my Ursula, my Winifred Sanderson, my just various looks that I've competed with, I make sure to take my time and craft a well thought out, well adjusted piece. And that's honestly what a lot of cosplayers who compete, because just because you cosplay doesn't mean you have to compete. And I'm a firm believer in this. Just because you are, how do I say this? Just because you cosplay doesn't mean you have to compete. Just because you brag doesn't mean you have to do pageants.
Correct.
It's one of those things where you can show confidence in yourself. It builds confidence. And when you get denied to enter, you get a little discouraged. You get a little let down. But you still keep on fighting and you still keep on creating. That's one of my big messages. If you're ever denied entry into a contest, into a competition, into a pageant, into what have you, there's always next time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But for me, who's competed a number of times, it's a lot. The first time I competed was with the Wicked Witch of the West, and it was a gorgeous costume. I loved being in it. I loved being that character because, again, it was very sexy, very seductive, very much on brand for me. But I tell you, there is nothing like being on stage.
I know that.
Nothing like getting on that stage and showing off your costume that you spent so long making. And just playing with the audience. Like when I was the Wicked Witch, I was twirling my cape. I was just being a sassafras. When I was Winifred Sanderson, I was twirling. I was playing. I was living. I imbue the character that I am on stage.
Right.
And that's my school of training. My school of training is very much on the stage. That I've always been a theater person. I love being on stage. And being on stage as a character that you love so much and have studied for so long, it's appreciative. It's very appreciative.
You mentioned Lady LaBelle before. Have you and her ever done anything theatrically together?
We have. I've never shared a stage with LaBelle. We were slated to do a drag show together, but it ended up not working out because I was unfortunately working that night. So that it didn't pan out well. But I am familiar with LaBelle. I've known LaBelle for a good long while. But we really didn't start communicating more until Dreamgirls this past March. This last year, I'm pretty sure it was last year. We had done Dreamgirls together. He was on stage, I was backstage. And we just started talking, and I love and appreciate him so much. I would love. I don't think there's a drag queen on earth that I wouldn't love to share a stage with.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to share the stage with her many times. It's incredible.
Absolutely incredible performer. I did follow Lady LaBelle. I think it's LaBelle Bell on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken.
And also Seneca Bell, I think. Also,
I think so. I think that sounds.
There's a few. She has a few.
LaBelle with her many pages.
Yes, she almost has as many wigs as me, if you can believe it.
Please, I want to have a conversation with your husband because I love my BR. I love that I styled this. This was something that I styled. I just want to style more and more, short gray wigs because I'm going to need them. But I do want to touch base on a couple of things that I've been wanting to do. I had a long conversation with my darling daughter, Summer Orlando, about doing a Maud Live. And I feel and it's one of those really wonderful things. B. Arthur's 100th birthday and the 50th anniversary of Maude all happened in the same year, which is 2022. Oh. And I want to do something so delicious and so wonderful. And I just want to be able to have that happen. Like, I want to be able to put on Maude live and, have the audience play around and enjoy the audience and introduce them to Maude in that way. And that's one of the reasons why I've been doing more Maude looks. And that was one of the reasons why I styled this wig, because I needed a Maude look. And it's just one of those wonderful things that I want to introduce people to, because a lot of the things that happened in the 70s are happening today. And a lot of things that are addressed in the show are still happening to this day. And I just feel really good about introducing the world as it is to Maude, because so many people know her as, brassy Dorothy Zbornak with the golden voice. But not a lot of people know her as Maude, the militant feminist with the gravel voice, who is also a fabulous performer. Yes.
Speaking of B. Arthur singing, you do that lovely version of The Man in the Moon is a Lady.
Yes, I do. I do.
Another one that she sang on the Golden Girls that I love. Have you ever played around with Hard-Hearted Hannah?
Oh my God in heaven! I did that for a competition.
Oh, you did?
I did Hard-Hearted Hannah for a no one. I mean, I didn't. Well, how do I explain this? I did Hard-Hearted Hannah for 5 seconds. This was at a cosplay competition in on Long Island. It was a local convention, and I did Hard-Hearted Hannah, and I only got 5 seconds of song out because one of my friends who was cosplaying as a Deadpool ran up to the stage and started making it rain on me. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, I hate you, but that was fucking brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant.
That does sound brilliant.
And I'm sure summer's coming around. I'm sure I'll share it at some point and I'll tag you in it, of course. I loved Hard-Hearted Hannah. She actually did that in Maude. She sang the entire song in Maude with the piano accompaniment, and she was. One of the things that I appreciated about Maude was that it showcased more of Bee's talents. It showcased. I mean, she was the star. She was the star. She was the star of the show. Norman Lear basically said the producers at CBS basically said, "Who is that girl? Let's give her her own show." And they did, and it was wonderful.
Yes. Because it was a spinoff of All in the Family.
Yes, Maude was a spinoff of All in the Family, and then Good Times was a spinoff of Maude.
Correct, that's right.
Norman Lear, that brilliant writer. I worship the ground he walks on. But Maude, I definitely feel showcased a lot more of Maude's talents. I mean, she won an Emmy for Maude, and I'm pretty sure she also won an Emmy for Golden Girls.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, I love hearing Bee sing. She has sang You're Gonna Hear From Me. She sang that in Maude. She sang Hard-Hearted Hannah. She sang
What'll I Do on the Golden Girls.
She sang What'll I Do in Golden Girls, of course. I'm trying to think of what other song she sang in Maude. I'm pretty sure she sang when they had telethons. When they had telethons, Bee was always singing in the telethons.
Well, that's right.
Like I say, it was one of those things that I really appreciated Maude for, because it showcased so much of Bee's talents, a lot more than I feel Maude did. If you're going to ask me which one I prefer more, that's a cheap shot. It is 100%, Tony, a cheap shot, because I love and appreciate the Golden Girls so much for what they've done for me personally. But I also appreciate Maude because I feel it's only shaped me as a better impersonator and as a better performer. And that's why I appreciate both of them so much. I remember one time I posted that Maude was greater than, and I did Maude greater than Golden Girls. I got so much flack for it.
Oh my goodness. You're taking your life in your hands.
But it was one of those things where I'm like, Maude, for all intent and purposes, had a more grounded story. It had better continuity. It of course had more of B, which I mean I'm not going to snuff that.
Of course
But it also had more hard hitting storylines.
Definitely.
It also had much more hard hitting storylines than
the Golden Girls.
Golden Girls did. Granted, Golden Girls tackled AIDS. I don't think they once tackled AIDS in Maude. I know they tackled.
Yeah, well, it was. Maude was like pre-AIDS, really.
Oh yeah, Maude was definitely pre-AIDS. So it was just the whole gay thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, B being a wonderful advocate for LGBT individuals really was one of the reasons why I started dressing up as her in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that I look and sound exactly like
that doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt at all, not in the slightest. But yeah.
So
I
have to say, I mean, you just. I just love what you're doing. It's just so creative. Everything that you do is just so entertaining.
Thank you. I do.
I mean, there's you've really created this whole different kind of animal with combining drag and cosplay. Oh, yeah. It really
Absolutely.
is so unique.
I wholeheartedly agree. I was talking to one of my girlfriends. And she was on live doing her makeup, and I was there with her because I'm like, something, I'll show support. And she was talking about all things makeup and all things this and that. And then she mentions me and she goes, if you haven't followed Tomcat, go and follow them. Their imagination is boundless. They are so wonderfully creative. And it was one of those things that really touched me. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things that I love doing is I love inspiring people. Mm-hmm. And I love making people feel good. Mm-hmm. So if I get to do both as B. Arthur or as Ursula or as the Evil Queen or as whomever, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. Just because I love performing, I love entertaining, I love giving the people a show. And I've always been that way.
Well, you do an amazing job. I mean, unfortunately, I've yet to see you perform live. I've only gotten to see it online. But
I'm going to be very honest with you. When I did my drag show this past weekend, I actually have it recorded. I'll send it to you.
Oh, good.
It's about an hour long, and it's basically Ursula just playing with the audience. I have me as Tomcat in that performance. I have me as Ursula in that performance. I have songs that are sort of work for Ursula. I think I did "Sexy Me" by Toni Fields.
Toni Fields! Oh my lord!
I love Toni Fields.
Oh my god! I have not heard the name Toni Fields, and I can't tell you how many years.
I adore Toni Fields.
I loved her.
I have a very deep voice, so of course, as soon as I heard Toni Fields, I'm like, oh frig, there it is.
My mother adored Toni Fields.
I love Toni Fields. But yeah, I will send it to you. You will watch and you will enjoy. And that's sort of what I would want my drag show to be. Mm-hmm. If I ever had a drag show, I'd want it to be me impersonating the character, lip syncing to the song, or even singing the song.
Right.
And then moments where I have a conversation with the audience. And that's what I love interaction. I love being able to just go to the audience and say, how are you? How are you feeling? Are you enjoying the show? Great, tip me.
Yes. Yes, tip her.
And just do that sort of thing. But again, I will send it to you. You will watch and you will love.
Yes, you will. And now, unfortunately, I can't believe it. The show goes so fast. We're almost out of time. We've come to the end of
now's the time to say goodbye to all our company. BEAARTHURB, Arthur.
Yeah, I was hoping I'd get a little bit of a melody out of you. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Okay, if you want to find me, if you want to tip me, if you want to find me, if you want to tip me, it is that Tomcat on all forms of social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Venmo, on just everywhere. THETOMCATT. That's me everywhere.
Well, Tom, thank you so much. Like I said,
for having me.
I was so looking forward to doing this. Me
too. Honestly, me too.
I knew it was going to be a very fun episode, and it has been. We definitely we have to talk.
Now that we know just how close we actually are to each other.
Exactly. Who knew that we were like a town apart? Who knew?
Well, but when I found out how close you were, I'm like, do I tell him? Do I tell them? Do I tell her? What should I do? What should I do? And this was, I think, the perfect opportunity for me to do that. We are literally a town apart.
That's right. That's right. And I'm actually on the border of Wisconsin. I'm right by Little Vincent's.
Tony, we have things to discuss.
Wait, talk louder. I think I can hear you outside the window. But yes, we will talk.
Scream out, God will get you for that,
Tony! But unfortunately, we've got to bring this show to a close.
The show, as all things, comes to an end.
I know, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Anytime you want me on the show, I might not always be in drag, but anytime you want me on the show, just let me know.
That's fine. We're definitely going to be doing a lot of talking about things. That is a promise. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And please, right now, stay safe, stay healthy, keep practicing your social distance.
Wear your masks. Be safe.
Be safe. B-E-A.
B-E-A. Safe.
Be safe. All right. Good night, everyone, and thank you so much.
Twilly-dilly-dee, 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 tweet, 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 tweet.
She talks to the people all night long, chatting and a gabbing and a singing her song. All the divas down on Rainbow Street love to hear Toni go tweet, tweet, tweet. Talking Toni.
Tweet, tweet,
Talk, talking Toni.
tweet, twilly-dee.
Oh, talking Toni gonna talk tonight.